Hello everyone, welcome back to DevMix. In today's tutorial, we are going to discuss a Spring Boot application with custom exception handling, and also we are going to cover the data validations by using Hibernate Validator API, and we are going to understand all the annotations, and we will be cover an example of those annotations. So let's get started. So here in this tutorial we are going to understand now what is try catch, what is exception, those things like this architecture will be covered in the better review. Then we'll discuss what is exception handling, type of exception checked, unchecked. Then try catch finally, throws. Then what is the difference between error and exception, throw and throws, what is exception propagation, and what is custom exception. Those things we are going to discuss. Let's go to next one. Now, exception. It is nothing but to stop the execution of a program unexpectedly or something happened at the runtime. Like for example, we are hitting an API at the time of something is happened, so that flow of execution stopped. It is not went smooth. So that time it is nothing but an exception occurred or something happened, so the flow of execution stopped. So that can we can call as an exception. So it can be occur in different scenarios like user entered invalid input data. File is not, for example, we are trying to read a file from a path, but that in that path that file is not present. Some network failure issues, JVM run out of memory. This is the common issues actually. And coming to exception handling. So those exceptions, how we are going to handle, like we can by following some techniques like exception handling. It will be help us to retain the normal flow of the program. Like if something is happened, I don't want to stop the execution of the flow, or else I want to retain, retain the valid error message. Like if user has entered some wrong data, so that time I will be return as a response like the entered input is incorrect, please enter correct data. So those things we are going to handle. Like for example, if you see here diagram, exception is occurred, it will be thrown. Like JVM will be search for an exception handler. And yes, in our code, if we are configured any exception handler, yes or no. If yes, then the handler will be handle the exception and return the custom exception and will be retain the normal flow. If the exception handler is not configured in our application, then the exception will be handled by the default handler and will send back the default response and close the program abnormally. Like not smoothly, it will be close the program. We will be go through this example. Into checked exception, that is identify the compiler when we are developing the programs or applications. That time only it is showing. Like for example, we are trying to open file not found exceptions, IO exceptions. Those time compiler only identified, and it is it is it is it is saying like you have to handle those exceptions. Then coming to unchecked, an exception that is identified at the runtime or execution of the application, like a arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, number format exception. For example, in our database, some string value is there, but we are like characters are there, we are trying to convert to number. So that time it will become as a number format. Those things will become at the runtime. So that is nothing but unchecked. Then error. What is error? Error nothing but it is like unexpected thing will become in the application. Like we are not think about of those things also, like what type of error will become at the time of running our application. Like maybe some server related issues, some memory issues, those things, nothing but a error. It cannot be handled. Like if we go to for error and exception, error is a unchecked type, but exception can be checked and unchecked type. It belongs to error java.lang.error package, but exception will belong to java.lang.exception package. It error is irrecoverable. Like we cannot handle those things. Exception, it is recoverable. It cannot be occurred at compile time. Error cannot be shown as a compile time. Yes, that is true. Then coming to exception, it can be occur at compile time or a runtime. Like examples, out of memory, server related issue, here null pointer exceptions, SQL exceptions. Now we are going to understand what is try, catch, finally, throw, throws. Try block is used to writing the piece of code like wherever we are thinking like this piece of code is going to give exceptions or something will be happen. So that time we can go for try and we'll be write those piece of codes in the try block. Try block that those exception codes will be write in try block. Right. Look, then coming to catch, like yes, whatever exceptions will be occurred in the try block, it will be come to the catch block immediate to catch block. Like we can handle those type of exceptions, like different exceptions will come. We can collect in our catch block. Then whatever we want to do, we can do in the catch block. And what is finally? Finally block to execute mandatory code we want to execute at any cost, either exception happen or not. Like resource closing, connection close, those things. For example, in try catch, something is happened, right? But that case is not executed or something happened in the program, but finally should be executed. It is mandatory. It won't be like skip the flow. It will be execute those code. So like opening connections, opening resources, those things we are going to write in the finally block. Then throw, it's an keyword to use throw an exception explicitly. For example, we want to throw our exception. For example, a user is not exist or a user is not exist, user not found exception. So that time we can use that keyword throw user not found exception. That time we can do that. Throws, it is keyword to use declare exception in method signature find file. For example, I do have a find file method. I have to read a file, find a file. Okay. So that time what I have to do, I have to open a resource like file reader, those things I have to do. So the compiler will be suggest like to handle those file not found exception if not exist. So that time either I can write a try catch block or I can write a throws file not found exception in the method signature. If you see, sorry, like file find logic, then we will be right. What are the differences between throw and throws? It is used inside a method like throw user not found exception. It is used inside a method when it required to throw an custom exception. Explicitly we want to throw an exception. And throws, it is used in a method signature to propagate the exception to the color method. Like the previous color method, it will be a take those exceptions. Like those throws, it will be returned to the find file from where it is calling. It will be return that exception to there. It can like throw. It can only throw one exception at a time. But throws can be used to declare multiple exceptions separated by comma. Like file not found exception, IO exception. Those things we can add it here by separating a comma. Like exception propagation, it is nothing but to propagate the just we discussed. It is nothing but to propagate the exception to the parent color method or previous color method. For example, from controller I have called to a method and to service, and service returns an exception and it return to the controller and it is returning that exception to that response. So that is nothing but exception propagation. Then custom exception or user defined exception. For example, when an exception is raised, firstly the exception is caught by the catch block and then by using the throw keyword we can throw the exception. For example, we are trying to identify a user from the database, but in the database the user is not exist. So that time what we have to do, like user not found exception, we have to send to that response or the client. That time we have to do. Like if you say if data is not present, like that time we have to do. Like we can cut that exception and we can send our custom exceptions. For example, if data is already present in DB, but we are trying to save again. For example, a user is there with some ID. Again, we are trying to save another same ID. So it will be not, it will be replaced in database, right? So what we have to do, we have to before saving, we have to check a call method, like check either that ID is present or not in database. Then we will be save. So if it is present, then we will be return a response to the user like that the ID is present for this user you can't save or you can enter a valid ID. This is already exist. Now user enter invalid input. What is user entered in? For example, in a registration page or wherever you are entering some data from the client side. So what will happen? They will be enter the data. For example, a name is there, but they are entering 1 2 3 4 5. That is not a valid now, valid data, right? So that time what we have to do, we have to check the validation from the front end client side also, like whatever applications we are using, and back end sides also, both side we have to do the validations. So in the back end side, what validations we have to do, like only characters are allowed. If other than that or if anything is there, then we have to say like this is invalid name, or some mandatory fields are required. So those things we can do. Now let's go ahead and understand the example how it will be happen. Okay, let's open the Spring Initializer. In the Spring Initializer, what we have to do? We have to do Maven project. Then we have to add Spring Web, Spring Data API, PostgreSQL, validation for the validation purpose validation, and the Lombok we have to add. This will be the important one, being Hibernate Validator API, and we will be understand a student application, like a simple student application. Let's generate this one. It's generated. Now let me open this project. Then first project, new window. Okay. So now project is created. Resources. Let me copy paste the application properties from this project. Give the student database. Let's create the packages. Yes, Explorer, city, echo, then exception package we need, then request done service. What we need to create? We need to create first entity, right? Let's create an entity class, student entity, student as usual, entity, full, name, okay, private, entity, name, name, okay. For time saving, let me do one thing. Okay, okay. Last name, middle name, get age also, then email, phone number, phone number. Okay. And let's go ahead and instead of manually adding the setter getters, let's add the data annotation. So from Lombok it is provided all the setter getter method constructors, those taken care by Lombok now. Set the ID, first name, last name, age, email, phone number. Now develop an repository class. Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, that's repository, city, Now go ahead to the service. New as service. Let's follow that standard entity will be returned as student entity, then student or create student. We have to take the input as a student entity, student entity. Right? Let's go create impl student service over third. Now we is repo auto wire. Now we can do what we have to do, like as discussed before saving the student record, we have to check this or not. Like always follow this, like before you are writing some code, you have to write why you are writing that code comment line. That will understand in later point of view. Like student repo dot find by id. Okay? Student entity dot get id. Then what it will be written? It will be written as student exist. 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 So it will ask for optional because it will be optional. Okay. So now if each student exist is present or not. Yes, present. Then what we have to do? Like we are not going to store the data. That time what we have to do? We have to throw in custom exception like this student is already exist. Okay. So now go ahead and create our custom exception. As student exist. Okay. From exception insert message will become here. Okay. Super. We can call super. Okay. Now, now this class is ready. Now what we have to do? We have to add our custom Spring provided like global exception handler class. Like and we can annotate this class as controller advice. Okay. So this class will be identified by the wherever exception is raising, like it will identify this controller advice class, and wherever this advice class defined, so that time it will be identify some exception handler annotations like public. We can return as a response entity question mark. Okay. Then provide student list. Okay. So we have to customize our exception now. We have to customize our exception. Like it's a standard, like we have to follow, like I can create a error details. Like this is my, I want to return this object. Okay. Instead of the default exception, like we talked about some time back, like private int status, status code. Okay. Status code we have to send like private date timestamp, local date time, like timestamp. Okay. Um, error message, right? messages, error message, string, HTTP status, right? Made request, okay, or it is created, those things. Okay, status. We are sending status code also, status also. As per your requirement, you can do this one. You can customize. Okay, set getters are already. Now this is also ready. Now from global exception handler, we have to return that error details, right? Error details. It's the object error details dot set status. Set status code you have to state, like, but it will be status code. It will be okay only. Okay, status dot okay dot value. Okay, okay dot value means it will give the code. Then error details dot set status dot okay dot name. Okay, dot name method. Error details dot set message st dot get message. Okay. Error details dot set timestamp. Local time dot now. Then what you have to return? We have to return a response entity object. Okay. Then of error details. Then if you guys not a response entity, why we are doing, please go ahead and watch my Spring Boot cloud application. There I have explained this actually. Then it be status dot okay. Okay. Now we have to go to our implementation class. If it is already present, then we throw new student exist exception of student exists with ID plus student entity dot get. Or else what we have to do? We have to do student repo dot save of student. Okay, we'll be return that one. Now let's test this API now by providing us and okay. This one test controller request mapping slash API slash student. Okay. Now create a post API of then get student. Request body entity. Okay. We have to inject that service also. Right? Private student service. So then done. New of student service dot get student of student entity. Okay. Plus dot created. Right? Whenever a new resource is created, we are going to return created. Okay. Let's run our application. Database database also it is already created with the student database. Here, let me see from student, right? Student is present, student ID, age, email, last name, phone number. Okay. Enable. Let me create that. Okay, started. Okay, now let's go ahead and create the request. create student. For example, student ID I had given ST123. Okay. Last name I had given Ashish. And Kumar Saur, age is 30, phone number, email. Okay. Okay. Format for local API student. Okay. API student. Okay, we did provide it. That's our post mapping class. Right? That's create only. Right? Okay. Did it. Right? Registered student. Is now. Oh. Did. Oh, okay. Then now. Okay. It's created. Let's open. Yes. From student. C1. Right? One number. One number due to some that to then that to then okay. Now let's start it and let's hit again that one with the same ID because it is already present as 1, 2, 3. Right? Now again then then okay, okay, okay. We forgot one. But here what we have to add that text. Oh, okay. Why? Because whenever it is identify controller advice in this class, it will be search for the at the rate handler and this class. Then it will return this response. Okay, underscore 200. Okay, timestamp. This is nothing but custom exception. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's try to identify an like not found. Let me do quickly. Student details by ID. Okay, and take ID based on the ID. We can try to ID. Okay, now path variable plus ID. Okay, service base. Here what we have to do? We have to details, details, ID. Let's go over to student service. For example, now here what we have to do? Repository dot find by ID, ID we can pass. Okay, or in Java there is a method provided or else throw Like we have to send, right? If it is not present, throw, or else not present, new student not found, except it is student, right? The same we can do here. Says all the okay. Now come to the global exception. With this one, I change it to not found exception. Student. You can give them method only exceptions. Error detail. This is not okay, right? This is not found. Not present. There is not. Okay, as per the standard. Four not four. We'll go to student. Here we'll pass ID. Yeah. New no, message you have to pass. Student present, right? Pass. Okay. 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 Detail student for find by or okay student controller details I sorry. So okay. Success then okay. You saw in the previous one we had written in this 200, right? If error also. Based on your standard, either you can throw it 200 also that is application has started. Go ahead, get this API. Keep on not right. And details. I didn't get mapping. See, this is the default one provided by responsible. Okay, default handler messages. But we are converting to our own. Set it. It's or row. Now it is present, right? It is present. That's why it is written. Okay, the data. Before it is written our custom exception and not present with ID. Okay. Now let's understand if I want to enter the student ID of the server in student ID, first name is not, for example, if the user has not entered. So that time I want to return as a message like you have to enter the first name. So let's go to the global exception handler. Like here, same way create divided by string only method argument validation. Okay, method validation. validation, method argument validation. Okay. Now let's remove this error detailed subject. Why? Because this is different way we have to handle. Now in this here, for example, here one attribute means that is okay. Multiple attributes validation so you want, right? For example, I will go to entity. First name is required, last name is required, age is required, email is required, phone number is required. Everything is required apart from the middle name. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that here. Okay. So here, like this inside this st, for example, this reference st dot get binding results. Okay, get binding results dot get field errors dot stream, like list of field errors are there, so we have to collect those field errors messages dot stream. Then we have to map those attributes, map of field error object, like it is a java 8 features. Okay, then field error dot get default messages, field error double colon get default messages. Okay. Then collect of to list. Okay, it will be written a list of string error messages, list of string field errors. Okay, field error. Okay. Now, so this list of five field errors. Okay. Now I have to return these field errors with my messages also, right? So that time what I have to do? Let me I can do a map of object. Okay. Error map is equal to map. Okay. Let's see this one. Then error map dot put of, I can put status. Okay, this is the key. Status comma http status dot bad request. Okay, what we are returning here? Let's see. Status code, status not found. Okay, status code. These four attributes we are returning, right? The same way let's return. Okay, let's return same. Okay, status bad request name. Because it is a bad request only if some validation issues are there. Then we have to do status code. Okay, dot value. Okay, timestamp. Local datetime dot local datetime dot now. Okay. Now what status code timestamp error message. Messages also. Error messages. Okay, messages. Field errors. We have to put it here. Okay. Now we are going to return here. That. Okay. Now to validate this one, we have to put something in our controller and the entity label, the field labels also. Okay. Here we can use other valid annotation. Okay. Other valid annotation. Then we will be go to student class. Like if it is not null or not empty, I don't want not empty. Okay. So message what? Like first name not be null. Okay. Cannot be null. Then middle name also at the rate not empty and not. Let's understand. Not. We can use at the rate not blank cannot be a. Okay, message equal to cannot be not null, not be null. Okay. You can define the sizes also for the character, how many sizes you want from that string. Those things also you can do. The same way, let's do it for last name. Last name. The same way you can do it for age also. For age, we can use minimum age and max age, right? Minimum age value equal to, for example, I can 5 starts from 5, message equal to cannot be less than 5. Cannot be less than. Okay. Then I can use at max. Okay. Max up value equal to, for example, 100. Okay. Or 99. Cannot exceeds. Cannot exceeds from. Okay. Then email validation at that email. Okay, we can use the default annotation, the default format. Okay, then at that phone number, here what you can use, we can use not null, not blank. Okay, then we can apply, some patterns also, like rejects also we can apply it here. Like for example, I want only 10 digit numbers, like at that pattern also we can apply, right? From the regular expression xp equal to the simple validation. Okay, like only numeric with 10 digits. Okay, then double slash d inside bracket the number of characters, okay, or numbers, then dollar symbol valid. Okay, here also the email also you can the message valid email id. Okay. So this way we can do. Now let's run it and started. Go ahead, create API. For example, I cannot give first name. Okay, let's run it. Is coming. Cannot be empty first name. Be null. Okay. For example, I have to give an age also 4. Minimum age cannot be less than the age. Okay. We can simplify the messages also here. And coming to phone number, okay, if I can give another 2, 3, 4 digits added. See, the added cannot be less than valid phone number. If I can give, I can remove this at the rate mail also. Invalid email. Right? See this one for the request validation, data validation, those things check in the DB. There is no records. Okay. So this is all the things we have covered. If you have any doubt, then let me know. I can provide the also in that GitHub. I can. Okay. So thank you so much for